welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk about, I guess, just a feeling that I think is pretty common in the Turner syndrome community. It's something that I think all of us go through kind of processing in different ways. And I posted and asked for topic suggestions, ideas, things you wanted to hear or talk about. And this was one of those. And it was, why is my body so different? And I think it's a really powerful statement and idea and important to kind of talk about and think through. And I feel like I've done that in various ways, but never so like pointedly, like talked about the difference and how that feels. So it's really easy with Turner syndrome to feel different in a lot of ways. Different in how our mind works sometimes, like with me in math. Different in how we process things, like very verbally. Different in how we look. Being on the shorter side, having things like the webbed neck, and maybe surgeries we've had to have, things like that, the physical things that can be different because of Turner syndrome, and also the way our body functions differently because of Turner syndrome with hormone deficiency and fighting that. And so I want to talk about kind of processing that fact, like not necessarily how we respond to all of that, but just processing it, because that idea of why is my body so different? I mean, there's the clinical explanation of the effects that hormone deficiency and the chromosome being deleted or damaged has, that we could go into, which I feel like I've gone into a little bit before. And there is that side of it that's important to understand, right? Knowing the impact of those things on our bodies and how we got to that. Hormones are very real and important. It is not a light thing to go through a hormone deficiency or experience the symptoms of hormone imbalance. It is just so difficult, and it impacts so much. So there's that aspect of it, but there's also just that feeling of feeling different, right? Like, why did it have to be so different? Why do I have to be so different? And obviously all of us are going to experience that in different ways, because we each are experiencing Turner syndrome in our unique way. You know, there's a lot of commonalities, but we've talked about how diverse Turner syndrome is. The struggle of feeling different is something that is pretty universal. And of course, you don't have to have Turner syndrome to feel different from others, but that's what we're talking about in this context. So I'm going to kind of specifically talk about it in that arena of the ways Turner syndrome makes you feel different. Being the shortest person in your class, but the oldest, is a weird feeling. It's a very odd feeling. You do feel a little bit out of sorts. And like you kind of just maybe fit where you're being put. And there's that ways, there's peers going through puberty before you. There's your body not functioning the same way and not functioning as it should, the way it's supposed to. I only do air quotes because everybody goes through struggles with things with their body, but you know, the things that you normally expect to be able to do is not working because of the hormone deficiency. Your body's not doing everything on its own that it should and isn't functioning normally or how you might expect in that way. And so that leads to other unique experiences that others don't have. Things that it's hard not to feel alone in. You know, it's hard not to feel like you're the only one because unless you have a group of Turner syndrome friends that you see on a daily basis, you're not in person in everyday life seeing others go through this same thing. And I have amazing friends that completely empathize and understand everything I've gone through with Turner syndrome. But there is still a difference between being able to empathize and understand and having that moment of somebody saying, oh, me too, and actually experiencing the exact same thing. So I totally get this sentiment. I totally understand where it's coming from. What I would say is, while it's true, our bodies are different. My body is different. Your body is different. Different doesn't mean bad. Different doesn't mean there's something wrong with us. Different means we're our own unique person. And everybody has differences about themselves from other people. Sure, ours may seem a little starker. Ours may be experienced a little more pointedly at times. But that doesn't change the fact that there's nothing wrong with us because of it. And it also doesn't have to define us, right? Like I've talked about identity before. It doesn't have to define you that those are facts for you. My body not functioning like other people's, while I need to respect the reality of that and take care of what I need to take care of in light of that, to take care of myself, it doesn't have to define me. It's a part of me. It's a part of my story. It's not all of me. And I also think there's a element of embracing you for you. I know I can compare myself really easily. And that just leads down a path that isn't constructive, isn't positive, and isn't kind to myself. I don't need to be like others. I need to be me. And all of us have a different view of what that might look like, but it is not to a standard where we have to be like other people. There is a beauty in our uniqueness. There is a beauty in the ways we are different, that all these pieces add up to who we are. I've gone through a lot in my life, both with Turner syndrome and in other life experiences, that have taught me the value of those experiences adding up to who I am today. You know, it can feel easy to be upset about it and to want to change it, to want to go back and have different experiences, but then I wouldn't be who I am right now. In a lot of ways, I would be different if I hadn't gone through or faced the things I have. And it's the same. We would not be the same people if our bodies were different, right? Like, we would be different people. And there is a freedom that comes from allowing you to be yourself and be different, and that be okay. I went through that with our infertility journey, because that's probably the hardest part of our bodies being different for me, is it not functioning correctly in that way. And I mean, I'll say, yes, my body is fallen, my body is broken in various ways where there's illness and things like that I have to go through, but I find a lot of peace in God made me exactly the way He wanted me. God made me exactly how I'm supposed to function for what He has for me on earth. And there's a comfort and a peace in that. It doesn't mean you don't go through grief over all of those differences. Infertility or not, this applies. It doesn't mean you don't grieve that and let yourself process those emotions. But when you get to that point where you've processed, you've grieved, and you're able to let yourself see and embrace the ways that you're different, it's a very different experience. I think part of it can be allowing that for yourself. Not even just working at it being true, but allowing yourself to think that. Because it can feel like, well, but I am so different, and I'm so different in this very obvious, difficult way. But you get to determine how you view that. You can't change it. You can't change those physical or mental differences, but you can change how you view it. And that can be huge. And now I feel like I've gone into a whole rant on encouragement in be kind to yourself, and you can view it differently. But I think that's an important part of that conversation, because it is difficult to go through those differences. And I never want to sugarcoat that or brush that aside as if that's not important, because it is. It is very important, and it is very important to process that, not hide it, not shy away from facing it. But I also think that doesn't mean you have to see it as negative. Grieving does not have to mean you devalue yourself because of it. There's a difference in that, and it can take a while to get there. It really can. It's not an easy process. A lot of what Turner syndrome throws at us is not easy, but I will tell you it's there. And I think, just for some examples, some of the ways you can process and kind of embrace that you're different is, for example, being short. I've gotten short jokes my whole life. You guys probably have too. I say that there's probably not a short joke that exists that I've not heard before. And part of me embracing that is, well, I kind of like it though. Like, I'm cute and short, you know? And like, not one person that I know I think would actually change that about me. So it's okay. I can embrace that. I'm okay with that. There's also the hormones, having to take medicine. I remember when I was little, I hated having to take medicine. I felt like an old person having to take medicine every day, but I needed it, right? And so I had to get past that. But it was something I had to embrace. Like, this is me taking care of myself. This is me making sure I'm well enough to do everything I want to do. And so that's what I'm going to do. Instead of seeing it as I'm dependent on it. Because of course I'd rather not be dependent on medicine or not need medicine. But I do. And so switching it to, well, I'm taking care of myself in this way. And it's important for me to take care of myself in this way, kind of helps you embrace it. So things like that. For my scars on my neck, it's been something that I've just kind of just had to let myself forget about. Because I was very self-conscious of them in the beginning. I think I've told this before in a video, but I used to not go out with my hair up at all. And now you guys see I have my hair up all the time, mostly because my hair is so long and out of control that it's my way of maintaining maintaining some order there. Like, it grows so quickly, you guys. You have no idea. But I used to never go out with my hair up, ever. And I would put my hair up out of my face because I hated it being in my eyes. When I was in the house, as I'm opening the door, take it out of whatever I had and, you know, run my fingers through it and make it okay. And because I didn't want the questions about my scars. I didn't want the questions. I didn't want the looks at them. I just didn't want that to be a thing. And it took me realizing it wasn't something I needed to be ashamed of. Like, it wasn't something I did wrong. That I kind of gave myself a little confidence and pep talk and was like, no, do what you want. If you want your hair up out of your face, because then you do you. Put your hair up out of your face. Who cares if they see the scars? Because it wasn't even, I thought they looked that awful, although it's not like I love the way they look. It was more getting questions and having to answer those questions and deciding how to answer those questions. How much information do you give? So those are just some of the processes I've gone through with things like that, kind of processing the ways in which my body is different. I've done multiple videos about processing the infertility aspect of it, but I think allowing yourself whatever process you need to process it is healthy and good. And yeah. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that covered the aspect of it that you were hoping for. I hope that was encouraging, but also helpful. If you enjoyed this video, if it helped you in some way, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications on. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.